Hello everyone, it is Tyranor as always, and wow did Blizzard release a great short story this week. We Ride Forth, featuring the new Four Horsemen. This might really have become one of my favorite short stories in the Warcraft universe, namely because it sheds a lot of light on the inner workings and the thought process of Bolvar and the new Four Horsemen. Now, how should I say this? This short story is great as a character developing piece. It's not, say, particularly notable as a piece of literature, and the technical information, as in, for instance, how undead work and how the Lich King's control works, most of it is not particularly new, it's just reiterated. However, and this cannot be understated, it is a wonderful and highly necessary development piece for the Four Horsemen and for Bolvar. Bolvar's presence in the lore, since he became the Lich King at least, has, in my opinion, been highly intriguing, yet we always see it sort of from an outsider's perspective. There was always speculation that Bolvar might go evil or not, and this short story heavily built upon that. As to the Four Horsemen, well, I have to say their characterization in Legion left something to be desired. All four of these characters were established lore figures, but once they became Death Knights in Legion, obviously not really talking about Darian Mograine in this case, they were kind of banal for lack of a better term, as in their personality in Legion was pretty much the same personality than any other Death Knight of the Ebon Blade had. Sure, they had some individual quirks such as Nazgrim's bizarre obsession with choking people to death, but for the most part they weren't really unique enough. By contrast, this short story provides some much needed development to all of them, both in terms of subtle minor details and in terms of, say, their core personality and character. Some examples of the former are things like Nazgrim and Thoras Trollbane's friendship, or Nazgrim misembarking instructions at recruits, while the major stuff is obviously things like how would each of them feel if they had to become the Lich King, their thoughts on Bolvar, etc. And I truly wish we would see more of this in the game. There were also some references to a few bits of lore that didn't really seem to have their place before. The most notable example of that is, for instance, how Darian Mograine showed up in your garrison looking for solutions for Bolvar's condition, which at the time felt a bit odd and somewhat random, but now it's actually properly explained and contextualized. Now, most notably, the short story went in depth, truly in depth, on Bolvar's plans and his relationship with the Knights of the Ebon Blade. Some of it we did know already, such as him making new Death Knights in preparation of Sylvanas' attack. But we also learn how he planned to give himself fully to the power of the Crown of Will in order to attempt to stop Sylvanas, why he is not encased in ice in the cinematic trailer. And then have the Knights of the Ebon Blade kill off whoever would be the Lich King after the battle, either a weakened Bolvar or a novice Sylvanas. And also by gathering the Scourge in Icecrown, he would have Sylvanas basically trim them down before their battle. Also quite interesting from a lore nerd's perspective is how, well, the undead and the Death Knights of the world, at least those connected to the Lich King, feel the Lich King's presence and how they felt what happens to the Crown of Will, when a Lich King is deposed and when the crown was broken. Some of it is not entirely new. We've had mentions, for instance, of how the Forsaken still felt lingering touches of the Lich King's presence, especially in vanilla before Arthas was deposed, and how they were at risk of succumbing to his control again. Now, there was one odd bit that I think was just placed there to sort of cover for the fact that some characters killed after Wrath don't end up in the Maw. Namely, how Bolvar states that despite the Legion causing massive carnage on Azeroth, it's only when Sylvanas starts her war that the balance between life and death becomes disturbed. And, well, what exactly changed between those 2 points so that only after the Legion is defeated did souls begin to be funneled into the Maw? It's not exactly a major point in the story, but it does feel that, well, it's an example of how World of Warcraft lore is not really planned for years and years behind. Rather, they tend to come up with, well, not on the spot, but not really with a lot of planning either. Instead, they set up plot points and decide kind of arbitrarily if they want to pick them up again or not. But this is a fairly minor complaint and not something that affects the quality of the short story, rather the place of a particular line in the context of Warcraft lore. But yeah, overall this was a great short story and an awesome contribution to Warcraft lore as a whole. I just kind of wished we'd see more of the character stuff for the Death Knights in the game, since, well, as I said before the short story, their characterization was somewhat lacking. Thank you all for watching and listening to me, and I'll see you all next time. Farewell.